Alright, part 2, building intelligence into your parts. Chapter 6, getting more from your sketches. Chapter 7, modeling with primary features. Chapter 8, selecting secondary features. Chapter 9, patterning and mirroring. Chapter 10, using equations. Chapter 11, working with part configurations. Chapter 12, editing, evaluating, troubleshooting. Chapter 6, getting more from your sketches. Previous chapters we discussed the basic tools of sketching. Chapter takes for the next level that teaches you more advanced sketch tools as well as how to edit and manipulate sketches, how to work sketch text, sketch pictures, sketch colors. By the end of this chapter, with a little practice, reinforced tools and techniques, you should feel like you have mastered the topics of Solidworks sketching and can handle almost any problem that is thrown at you. In this chapter, you will learn to edit sketch relations, copy and move sketch etchings, use sketch pictures, use sketch text, use color line styles with sketches, use other sketch tools, and sketch 3D. Editing sketch relations. Delete is not an editing option. Time you will find with a good advice, even if you don't agree with it now. There are times to delete instead of editing, but you should delete only when it's necessary. Especially while learning, you should strive to at least know how to repair instead of delete in every situation. In my own work, I sometimes go to extra lengths to avoid deleting sketch editing, even part of the save in the practice. But I also, because when you delete sketch etchings, depending on the features, may lose the reference for the code dangling. Because of this, even if when you can use the delete command instead of making edits, it's still good practice to edit instead. Deleting relations is not critical in deleting sketch etchings unless the relations are referenced by equations or design tables. Best practice. Before deleting a sketch etchings, try to understand what type of relationship the change will affect with the downstream beats. Consider with the other sketch relationships with the current part and the mates into the context relations, and even mates and assemblies. In fact, keep all this in mind when you're creating a relationship. Try to make the relations the most stable and things available. When usually many have sketches reference geometry etchings high up in the tree as possible. Alright, using display and relations. Using display and delete relations shows a perpendicular with the eye on it. The display delete relations is a primary tool with dealing with sketch relation, particularly useful sorting relation various categories shown in 6.1. Capability to show sketch relation for the graphics window is nice. Sorting the list according to the state makes it feature even more useful. To show the sketch relation system symbols on the screen besides sketch etchings, use view sketch relations on the menu selection bar. So now we've gone into Figure 6.1, shows display delete relations manager, and it has a check mark, and it shows relations all in the sketch, horizontal, vertical, coincident, sketch suppressed, delete all, entity status 1 defined, and entity owner and assembly replace. Sketch relations and display delete relations dialog box can be divided into all following categories. All in the sketch shows all of the relations in the active sketch. Dangling shows only with the dangling relations. Dangling relations appearing with a brownish green olive color represent with the relations that have at least one of the entities that drives the relation. You compare the dangling relations by selecting entity with the dangling relation for the dragging of the red dot onto the entity which should have the relation. Overdefining, not solve. Overdefined relations are any set with a conflicting instruction with a given in the sketch entity with appear in red or yellow. If the line and conflicting relations button still cannot meet the requirements, it turns yellow, and the sketch contained cannot be solved if it turns red. When overdefined situation exists in shown Figure 6.2, all relation dimension sketches often become overdefined. This look like a daunting task to repair, especially when the entire problem is caused by a single relation. Do not automatically delete everything. Instead, try deleting and suppressing the last dimension relation that was added in any single relation that looks suspect. You can suppress dimension and setting of the driven with the right mouse button menu. You can suppress relations in the display delete relations property manager. Figure 6.2 shows an overdefined sketch. You see the little red mark it's unsolvable right here at this point. Shows two lines tangent to this curve, another line with a dimension. In this corner, it's not quite matched up. It's an item conflicts. Item is unsolvable at your origin. Extreme relations content of the etny outside of the active sketch. This includes part, origin, any model, edge of the term, external relations that signify any relations out of this part deflects and defined in context. Any relation between features of one part and the assembly in another the part is considered an in-context relation. Locked, broken. External relationships outside of this part may be locked and broken and decrease the speed of the lock of the parametric change if there is no advantage of the breaking resolution relations rather than locking them. Both are ignored. Both lock relations can be unlocked. Broken relations can be only deleted. Selected etny sketch relationships are shown only for the selected sketch. Etny's in-context design is also called top-down as well as the lockdown broken relationships covered in detail in Chapter 20, Modeling in Context. Caution. Some of the relationships displayed with the display of the delete relation dialog box may be colored to signify the state of the relation. Unfortunately, colored relations are typically placed at the top of the list to attract attention. However, when you select them, they are always gray, and the advantage of the color coding is always defined with the first relation in the list. The only way around this is to select a relation other than the first one on the list. This is the only one relation of the list you cannot see with the state of color. As setting in the tool option control with the display arrow, you can choose the tools option feature manager. If you define an option with the displaying warnings that can choose always, never, all but top level. When a sketch contains sketch relation within the area of the display with all the warning signs on the sketch will propagate to the top level of a part assembly if you have selected always option. Alright, now you have a line with an arc to an arrow using replace etny. Replace etny tool enables you to swap a particular sketch etny with an association reference further down a tree reconnected. When you extrude a rectangle into a solid, for example, all the face of the edges that are created with a given specific name, so the software can internally keep the track of the references, what the change on one of the lines for the other rectangular to the arc, making the line of the construction line, drawing a new arc, then rebuilding the solid. Any face of the edges where they were built from original line would now be different. If any of the features like fillet reference for the original edge, they would fail. Using replace etny makes sure that everything updates properly. If easy to do, but in order to do it to work, you have to actually use it. Here's a step-by-step procedure how to use the tool works. This is replace etny over here on this symbol here. Open a new part, sketch a rectangular scaling plane, make sure one of the corner references of the origin, extrude the rectangle to some depth, apply the fillet feature of the edge of the parallel with one of the sketch lines shown in figure 6.3. Now we filleted an edge. Expand the boss extrude feature 1 manager. So you can sketch 1 underneath it. Right click sketch 1, select edit sketch, sketch 3 point across the line, parallel filleted edge is shown in 6.4. Notice that the new arc is displayed in a thinner line than the lines of the rectangle. So now we're starting sketching the arc, and manually convert these over here show the line to line being changed. Manually convert the line under the arc to construction. So this converts. So now the line is a construction line. This is the symbol. Use the confirmation corner to close the sketch. Notice the fillet feature fails. Right click to sketch 1, select edge of sketch. For a construction line, back to regular line. In the menu, the tool sketch menu, replace etny. Make sure the line on the top of the box, arc in the bottom box within the setting is shown in figure 6.5. We're now replacing the line with an arc. And then there's the X mark, pin mark. Select a single sketch segment, point replacement. Sketch can be only replaced with another item. Replace etny with line. Make the construction, delete within this zone, arc to make contour. Exit, replace etny command, exit the sketch. Note that the fillet feature now rebuilds properly. Alright, using Sketch Expert. Sketch Expert shown in figure 6.6 can help the diagnose, repair complex sketch relation problem. The diagnose button at the top creates several possible solutions that you can toggle through with the use of forward and backward arrow buttons. In the result panel, the manual repair button displays all relations area of the window, which can delete them manually. By selecting the option very bottom of the dialog box, always open with the dialog. When the sketch error occurs, you can make the Sketch Expert appear whenever the sketch errors occur. To display Sketch Expert manually instead of the automatically connects with the right clicking on any of the sketch, clicking with the over-defined warning on the right end of the status bar. Sketch Expert dialog box show the sketch and then the pencil and a warning sign. Expert shows the message and then how to manual diagnose and manual repair results, desired solution, showing solutions, and then more information options. and always open dialogue with sketch area occurs. Getting more for your dimensions. Dimensions have some workflow enhancement, but that might be obvious if you don't know about them. One of my favorite dimensions of this from center lines. From center lines. In Figure 6-7, the dimension from a center line knows with the cursor change the display with an R, which indicates the dimension. It will be radial and will be made except with the form with respect to the center line. This means if I select the center of one of the holes, it will be the dimension from the center line. When placing dimensions originally went to the center line, I've placed on the other side of the center line Solidworks, which have given the diameter dimension on the cursor displayed with a D for a diameter. Selecting circle itself can cancel the function, becomes imply the diameter, not a distance from something. Our dimension from center lines. If you want to get out of the radial or diameter dimension mode, press escape key on the keyboard to revert to normal dimension. These features work like automatic baseline dimensions. Sketching numeric input. Keep the numeric input first. Enable the tools option. Sketch enables on-screen numeric input on any creation, while the create dimension only with a value when value is entered. Setting turned on when you sketch for the rectangle. For example, the SolidWorks automatically dimensions the length and the height of the rectangle. Catch there with a must be with a click and click sketch. Click and drag can be used the technique. After clicking in the first corner of the rectangular, SolidWorks will put up the numeric entry field. If you have enter the number, it will automatically put dimensions onto the rectangular prompt. You the edit one of them. You can then key in another dimension for the other side of the rectangular. Working with sketch etchings. SolidWorks offers several different tools to help you move the sketch etchings around the sketch. In SolidWorks, I recommend keeping the sketch simple as you can, creating patterns using feature patterns rather than sketch patterns. The section describes the main tool for the moving, the copying sketch etchings. Alright, so now we have the moving, rotating, and scale etchings. Move etching. The move etching tool enables you to select the sketch etching after either selecting or from two of the points for the eye, entering X and Y coordinates for the move. When the key relation option is unselected, the move tool automatically detaches sketch segments whose ends points are merged as shown in Figure 6A. To keep the relation selected, SolidWorks move the etching with the drive to maintain sketch relations merge points. All of the tools have push pin icons in their interface. You can use the tool multiple times in succession when the push pin icon is pushed in. Tools in the push pin are deactivated after use if the push pin is not pushed in. Using the move tool, so now we push pin that, and then we pick it needs to move, and it's giving us parameter for X and Y or from to, and then rotate it needs tool rotate selected it needs in the sketch the same way that the move at knee works. You can drag with the angle, enter manually the green check mark icon on the right mouse button shown cursor display 6. So now we've rotated this part of the circle out. We've used the right mouse button click. Keep relations operation. Keeping relations option does not actually keep any relations. It just deletes horizontal and vertical relations in the sketch as shown on left, Figure 6-8. But it does keep merge endpoints shown in on the right, Figure 6-8. This can be useful, especially considering how many sketch relations it would take to make a sketch move like it naturally. So over here we've done that, and the keeping relations option. Copy etching tool works exactly like move etching tool, except for the copies instead of the move of the copy. Etching tool enables you to copy selected sketch etching by either selecting from the 2 points by entering X and Y coordinates to the place of the copy. SolidWorks copies with the etching tries to maintain the sketch relation, merge point, scale etching tool. Scale etching tool is one of the function probably the best felt left alone. This is because of the result of the erratic, unpredictable, particularly if there's a dimension on that sketch. The tools work on selection of etchings, particularly an isolated section that is not connected to other etchings in the sketch. The property manager for the scale etchings tool is shown in Figure 610. So now we've done the scale property manager. Modifying a sketch. Modify a sketch tool has been available in SolidWorks for a long time, but it has been superseded by some of the newer tools such as Move etchings. However, then some of the unique functionalities not covered in any other sketch tool. Modify sketch works on the entire sketch relation rather than on selections with the sketch. It works best for the no external relations but between sketch etnies and any other outside sketch. You can also work on sketch without the sketch being active. While most features of the tool interface have been moved onto the property manager, Modify Sketch still uses dialog box shown in figure 611 and floats in on the graphic window. So now we have a dotted grid, squared plus and minus. Modify sketch. Sketch origin, movable origin, factor, translate X and Y value, rotate, position, select, and close. There's a right button, rotate, and pick on that, move sketch. Modify sketch dialog enables you to perform the following functions. Scale about. Scale function modify sketch tool enables you to scale about either part of the origin, movable origin shown with a black origin symbol. With knobs under the end of the axis and the intersection, movable origin can be moved even snapped into the etnies internal and external to the sketch. Translate function with the modify sketch tools enable you to click with the drag with the move of the entire sketch to select the point, move it to a specific set of coordinates that you enter for the sketch is dragged onto the external entity, picks up the automatic relation, but then a message appears saying that you can move the modify sketch only before rotating the sketch because of the error's external relation. Rotate function of the modify sketch tool enables you to position the movable origin and axis center rotation enters either entering a rotation angle or by dragging the right mouse button to rotate indicated by the cursor. When placed cursor over the knob's movable origin cursor symbols changes to indicate the functionality of the right mouse button. The cursors are shown in figure 612. The cursors enable the rotating mirroring of about X and Y both simultaneously. So 612 shows you modifying sketch tool cursors. Alright, copy, pasting, sketching, etnies. Probably the simplest way with a copy of sketch in the sketch to select the etnies using Control-C and Control-V. One of many other methods available for this purpose, such as the right mouse button menu, edit menu, controlling, drag, copy with the box dragging, A lasso, Control-A, a contour selection, all useful methods. In addition to copying selected etnies for the active sketch, you can also sketch from the feature manager for the copy of the face and select with the plane of your face. If you note that in the sketch to begin with, the grades of the new sketch featuring the feature manager is not related with the original, although it does not maintain internal dimension relations. External relations are not copied with the sketch. Particularly useful for setting up the certain types of lofts and several profiles that can be created with a single copied profile. Copying and pasting is a fast, effective method of putting sketches on planes. Copy sketch and some of the derived sketch addressed later in this chapter, except that with the copied sketch, there's no link internal relation of the derived sketch, and with the new old sketches remain identical through the change of the original sketch. Dragging etnies. If selected with a set of sketches etnies with no external relations, you can select with a group and to move without distorting, resizing the sketch. The best result of the technique avoid with dragging endpoints and dragging actual line. Creating a derived sketch. Derived sketch is a parametrically linked copy. The original parent derived sketches do not need to have geometrical relation to one another, but when the parent sketches change, the dependent derived copy is updated to stay in sync. To create a derived sketch, you can select on the plane of your face, Control select the sketch you want to copy, then choose the insert derived sketch. Once you create a derived sketch, you can change the shape or size and works like a block and the fixed shape driven by a parent. However, if you change the position and orientation of the derived sketch, figure 613 shows the derived sketch and its parent. Modify the sketch is a great tool to use for manipulating derived sketches that are not related to things outside the sketch, especially mirroring or rotating. So fig 613, we've derived the sketch. Here's where it's been derived. Original sketch, and it's been changed. Using sketch pictures. Sketch pictures are images that are placed in the sketch. You can resize, rotate the image, give it a transparent background, chase over them, suppress them with the display of the children with the sketch with the feature manager. You can also give the image type of the sketch picture, bitmap, GFI, GIF, JPEG, TIF, PNG, PSD, and WMF. To bring a picture into the sketch must be first active the sketch picture on the sketch toolbar is not there on the default. You need to drag in and onto the sketch toolbar from the tools customized commands dialog box. You can also exit the command by choosing the tool sketch picture from the menu. You can use the sketch pictures in assembly with the sketches. You can use them as part of sketch assembly. To change the size of the sketch point with a double click and drag and one with the handle of the round to the outside of the image, refer to figure 614, sketch picture property manager. When the picture comes with the sketch, it's usually too big, and haven't been sized with a ratio of 1 pixel to 1 millimeter. Size the picture accurately should include the ruler object known with the size of the image. If you cannot do this, the next best thing is to guess the size, drawing a line in your sketch dimension approximately with the size. Same thing. Something that is recognizable in the image that you move the image. If the clicking, the dragging, delay with the dimension sketch at any that is closer over the object of the image possible. Alright, 614, we've done a sketch picture property manager with scaling tools embedded. You've got the sketch picture X and Y, and then degree, angle, dimension of the picture, and this is left to the horizontal and vertical. Enable scale to lock, accept ratio, and transparent none from the file. Full image are used to define. Solidworks has included scaling functionality. When the insert of the picture, you will see with a pink dot with a pink arrow with connected to the blue line. Position the dot first the end. Arrow. Solidworks provides a modifying box to allow you to specify how long the blue line should be. You can rotate the mirror image of the sketch picture property manager. Images with the opaque. You can now see model through them but at the same time you can see with the image through the model. Like flat pieces of paper are pasted onto the model or hanging in space. You can add transparency images of either selecting color using built-in transparency image file alpha channels that are available only in certain types of images fields. When you select a color to be transparent, you need to increase both the matching tolerance and the transparency sliders, which are default set with the minimum values. Costing: if a sketch picture has had a user-defined transparency applied to it, you double click the picture. Solidworks will automatically bump you into eyedropper mode, which selects a color to be transparent. A single extra click with the mode can make a mess of the sketch picture transparency setting and change selected transparency color. Although most common use of the sketch picture is a tracing guide, you can use it for a variety of other purposes. For example, a sort logo decal display that's on flat surface and can be shown on sketch picture. Best practice sketch pictures are put in the favorites folder. Separate sketch near the top of the feature manager. Even though the sketch at the sketch picture sketch, I recommend keeping the separate sketches. These because you use the sketch at the extrude and loft guide curve. The sketch will be consumed under the feature of the meaning. The image will become buried somewhere in their model rather than being easily accessible at the top of the feature manager. Promoting these sketches the favorite folders will also ensure that they are always available right under the top of the tree. Using 3 views. When you're building a model for the image, it's often helpful to have 3 or more images from the orthogonal views, similar to recreating a part of the 2D, but if you have a left view and a right view, it may be a good idea to put the mountain planes are slightly separated so that the images are not exactly on top of one another, which makes both hard to see, but putting them on slightly offset planes means that one can clearly be visible in one direction and the other visible in the other direction. Each sketch picture must be a separate sketch. Figure 615 demonstrates the use of multiple sketch pictures trace the outline vehicle, particularly complete models shown in figure with these images. Using multiple sketch pictures, we went to sketch pictures, and it shows X and Y and rotation, X and horizontal enable lock aspect, and then it shows mirroring and none from the file. Image user defined. We've now went to sketch picture and select the image type of the tool, select portion, select apply, convert selection sketch. It has a lasso, an eyedropper, a square, and miscellaneous paths being traced. Previous settings: source image, show trace imagery, brightness, image contrast, color tolerance, recognition tolerance. Additionally, you can put multiple sketch pictures inside a single sketch. Both images will show up with the feature manager, but within display at the same time, although you may have difficulty if you want to put the one on the top of the other. Compensating their perspective when taking direct photographs to be used with the sketch picture of the Solidworks, you have to consider the perspective aspect effects of the image. Perspective can be in the difficult size item of the foreground or background. If you're taking the pictures that will be the sketch pictures, you can minimize the effect of the perspective standing farther away object using zoom in into the camera as possible. Establishing sharp edges. When sketching an object, you usually draw the theoretically sharp corners of the model, but the real parts usually have the round corners, so you may have to use the imagination for the project, whether using 3D surface, using the interface for the edge minus of the fillet. First modeling of the part of the image of the non-exact science is better than not able to put the pictures into the sketch. But there's nothing about that it can be considered precise. Often, putting a ruler size gauge in the image shows somewhere useful. Using auto trace. Auto trace is adding that you can select with choosing tools. Add in menus. Auto trace is intended with a trace between areas, contrast sketch pictures, creating sketch entities. Activating auto trace adds in activities of setting arrows in top sketch picture property manager. There's nothing to identify functionality with the auto trace name. Auto trace it works best with solid blocks of black and white sketch pictures. To achieve this, you need to use image processing software. Reduce your picture to two-color black and white bitmap, TIF, and PNG image. Even if pre-processing gives perfect results, don't expect much from auto trace. Using stick fonts, Solidworks must be available. The OLF Simple Sans OC regular font for those times when you need a stick font. In your sketch, go through the CNC machinery. Using sketch text. Sketch text, you have the true type of the font with great text inside of the Solidworks text. This means that any of the true type that you have converted with the text of the solid geometry, include with wingdings and symbol fonts. Keep in mind that some of the characters certain fonts do not convert cleanly into Solidworks sketches. Sketches text must be still as follows. Rules sketching creating features such as closed contours cannot mix with open and closed contours. You can make a sketch text file with a sketch curve that displays text evenly along the curve. You can control the character with width and spacing, as well as overall size, by specifying points and actual dimensions. Sketch text can also be justified right, left, centered evenly, as well as reverse, rotated, flipped upside down. Figure 616 shows sketch text property manager and some example of sketch text options. Alright, example of sketch shows evenly spaced text on a curve, dimension placement points, something and backwards and spaces, all fine, all true typed font, true type fonts. The icon sketch property manager, self-explanatory. Other rotated text option, rotates individual letters as shown in the dimension placement point text. Figure in 616, not the whole string of text. You can use the sketch tools multiple times in a single sketch to make pieces of the text with different properties. Each string has a text placement point located in the lower left of the text. At this point, with a given the sketch relation with the dimension to locate the text. If the text overlaps placement shown in figure 616, use correct with a couple of ways. First, you can extrude with the marriage of the option unselected, so each of the letter is created separate solid body with a manually merged letter. You can also expose sketch items become with the simple lines, axes, and sketches. When you add it, the same as any other sketch, you cannot recommend it. You can also adjust the width and factor spacing settings, or you can extrude some letter in separate feature if the feature overlaps. The letter's characters do not overlap in a single sketch. You can link text to a custom property. This means sketch text can be changed with the configuration. Configurations are covered in the latest chapter. Text used with extrude feature can come from the custom properties, which can be driven to the design table directly through the sketch text property manager. Performance sketch text can dramatically slow down the performance of SolidWorks part. If you write an entire paragraph of text in sketch, usually with the text extruded solid feature, you will likely notice that the part runs much more slowly. One way to avoid suppressing the feature is turning it on only when needed. Alright, using color line styles in sketches. Custom colors line styles are usually associated with the drawing, not sketches. In fact, they are most valuable when used in a drawing. In sketches, they function little known or used but instill value in certain situations. Alright, so this shows you a X and Y coordinate with a right paragraph and a color bar. Working color display mode, color display button, found in line format, toolbar, and drawings. You can use the color display button to switch sketch entities drawings between displaying the assigned line or layer color, displaying sketch stats color. Has exactly the same effect on the part assembly sketches. When you select button with the sketch states colors used with the button is not selected with any of the custom colors, and custom colors applied with the sketch etching appear with the button is not selected. You've not applied the colors to the any of the default sketch and state colors are used. You can use sketch colors emphasized with the make sketch. Select the sketch and stand out or to make sketches various function immediately in distinguish color display mode as an effect. Only on the active sketch. Once the sketch is closed, it returns the gray default color in the inactive sketch etchings. Alright, and then it shows the paint brush with color bar on it. Assigning line color. Line color enables you to assign colors to any active sketch. Color display mode tool determines whether the assigned color default sketch stats colors are used. Chapter 28, using layered line fonts and color has more information on functionality, especially related to drawing. Alright, now we've seen the sketch with a brush using Edit Sketch Curve Color tool. Edit Sketch or Curve Color tool can be found in View toolbar. You can use the Edit Sketch or Curve Color tool to assign the color to an inactive sketch and to a sketch block to replace the default gray color. The color then assigns the sketch in the way that displays only when the sketch is inactive. The sketch is also filed with the toggle state with the color display mode button. For the example, the color display mode button is selected with the inactive sketch displays as gray. When the color display mode button is not selected, an inactive sketch should display any of the color that are assigned by using the Edit Color tool. When using the tool color for the sketch block, the block display with the color inside the active sketch, you can use the line color tool mentioned earlier to assign the color to block. Alright, then you see the printed pattern with the line thickness gets bigger going down, and then the lines separated. Assigning line thickness and line style. Line thickness, line style tools function independently with the color display mode button. They are still used only when in sketch active. As soon as a sketch that contains ends with edit thickness and style is closed, the display goes back to the normal line weight and font. To assign thickness and style, you can select the sketch that needs to be changed. Click with the button, select the thickness or style. Although the single sketch may have only a single thickness or style, you can use the multiple thickness or styles within the single sketch. Figure 617 shows a sketch with the thickness and style edited. Line thickness and line styles are covered in more detailed discussion drawing in Chapter 30, creating assembly drawings. 617, a sketch of the edited line thickness and line style. Using other sketch tools, Solidworks has a lot of functionality overlaps between multiple topics. The following tools could appear other sections of this book, but I include them in there here because they will help you work with the control 2D sketches in Solidworks. Alright, you see the sketch with a lightning bar. Working with Rapid Sketch. Rapid Sketch is meant for the help to ease change of the sketch planes as you move sketch cursor over the flat face of the model with the face highlights to indicate that you can start with a new sketch there. Each of the new sketch appears in the feature manager. The workflow of the tool is start in the one sketch, Rapid Sketch, activate. Sketch tool will move the cursor over the plane or face end or dark plane will appear to indicate that you can start sketching on the flat plane. To move it into another plane, the sketch tool must be still active but not in progress or any editing, nothing attached to the cursor. This option makes SolidWorks sketching work more like Solid Edge, where it is easier to change the new sketch. Alright, now you see the folder with a little dial on it that's adding sensors. You can add sensors to SolidWorks features for parts assemblies. Right click and then from the sensors folder, adding sensor. You can find sensors folder from the top of the feature manager. If you cannot find the sensor folder, make it visible with the tools option feature manager. Make sure the sensor folder is set to show. You're not limited to using sensors only when working with sketches. You can use them outside the sketches parts assembly to warn various types of parameter meets various types of criteria. Figure 618 shows a sensor property manager. You can create sensor property measurement simulation data pass property that includes sensor for the chapter 2 for the measurement option, enabling you to select dimension or set a range of values criteria for which you want to be notified. The measure can be driven black sketch dimensions or a driven gray dimension on a sketch, even the driven dimension placed directly on the solid geometry. So now we have the sensor property manager, a pinch, X mark, and X mark, sense type, dimension, properties, alert me, notify when gray, drop down menu 2, reference drive sketch default shows under the sensor folder tab, and now we have the dimension as an alteration center. 618 shows what happens. Sensor field finds condition that asks to notify you about it. If the addition of turning sensor alarm on or off, you can suppress sensors that are no longer needed to improve performance. Sensors are a great way to keep a particular value, such as wall thickness or clearance between parts. You can use sensor to monitor any value that you want to monitor. Don't drive it, but don't drive it directly. Alright, using metadata for sketches. Metadata is a non-geometrical text information attached to geometrical data. Metadata is particularly helpful with the keywords and searches, product data management. Application says custom properties for drawing and tables. If you do not use metadata within your CAD drawings, CAD documents, it can be easy to forget that is there at all. You can use the following items: metadata, SolidWorks, sketch features and names, sketch feature comments, access comments view with the right mouse button, menu, custom properties, design, binder, documents, tag, the features located in the lower right corner of the status bar. Metadata search is particularly useful in large assemblies of the part long list feature that you need to find search through. You can conduct searches through the metadata through Feature Manager, filter at the top of the Feature Manager, the advanced search function. And assembly can also search metadata sources. SolidWorks Explorer, good first level data management solution. Can search display, edit metadata previews, windows. Explorer can also search property and tags. Alright, creating construction geometry. In SolidWorks, only construction geometry that can be created directly is the construction line. Although sketch needs to be converted with the construction geometry by selecting construction geometry option with the sketch any property manager by using construction geometry toggle toolbar button. SolidWorks terminology inconsistent becomes sometimes referred to the construction lines or as center lines. The two are really the same thing. Center lines use resolve sketches and mirroring. There are no difference between centerline construction lines and SolidWorks. Construction geometry is useful. Many different types of situations used infrequent for the reference sketch data. You can make sketch relation with the construction geometry to create symmetry, and you can use the layout sketches for many other purposes. Alright, instead of the sketch, but the 3D sketch is an important tool for creating weldments and many other features in SolidWorks. 3D sketches can be challenging, but they certainly manageable if you know what to expect from them. Earlier chapters discuss the tools available. The 2D sketches next. I cover this technique in 3D sketching. Alright, navigate the space. To start with a 3D sketch, activate the 3D sketch icon, fly out under the 2D sketch icon, or in the menus, go to Insert 3D Sketch. When drawing a line in the 3D sketch with the cursor origin, initially it looks like it's shown in Figure 618. The large red origin is called the space handle with the red legs indicating activating sketch panel, active sketch plane. Sketch needs that you draw a line on this plane. The cursor identifies the plane with the active sketch plane and its parallel in the X and Y graph shown in Figure 619. The sketch is not required to be on the X and Y plane, just an imaginary plane parallel to it. So this Figure 619 shows the space handle to the 3D sketch cursor. Pressing the Tab key activates the active sketch plane with the toggle X, Y, Y, Z, and ZX. The active sketch plane indicates the design creative the sketch relation, but just lets you know that the orientation of sketch entity that are being placed. If you want to create a skew line that is not parallel to any standard plane, you can do this by sketching available endpoints, vertices, the origins, or so on. If there are no entities to snap, you will need to accept the planar placement, turn off the sketch tool, rotate the view, and move one end of the sketch entity. The biggest challenge in 3D sketch visualization is tough to see with the line coming over the screen, just a short line in another plane. Excellent tool to help visualize the happening 3D sketch is a 4-point viewport view. This divides the screen into 4 quadrants that is displaying front, top, and right views in addition with a trimetric isometric view. You can sketch and or edit any of the viewport sketch will update live in all the viewports simultaneously regions shown in Figure 620. You can easily access the divided viewport by using buttons and standard view toolbar. You can also manipulate the screen, split screen using splitter bars in the lower left, upper right corners of the scroll bar array. Areas around graphic windows. Window elements are also described in Chapter 2, Navigating SolidWorks Interfaces. So now we're working on 4 viewports, and this one's given the X and Y, Z location. We have the different orientation X blocks, as is for the red line. When under constraint, any 3D sketch or move of the plane with the screen that can lead to unexpected results of viewing something at the right angle, moving it to another, rotating it, which shows the show off of the deep interplanetary space. This is another reason of the 4 viewport views enables you to see what is going on all points of view of it at once. Exploring sketch relation with 3D sketch. Sketch relation and 3D sketch are not exactly the same in the 2D sketch relation if it's not projected in plane 3D sketch in the way they are in 2D. For example, an etny of the 2D sketch can be coincident to the etny of the out of plane. This is because to make the relation out of plane etny is projected to the sketch plane and relation is made to the projection. In a 3D sketch, coincident means coincident, and this with no projection. Several relations prevail with the 3D sketch are not found with the 2D sketch, such as the long X, long Y, and long Z, and on surface. The general caution is keep in mind the solving sketch of 3D is more difficult than it is in 2D. You would see more situations sketch relation fail or flip in the wrong direction. Angle dimension, particularly with the notorious 3D sketch flipping direction, if you chamber the go across a 100-degree mark, possible, advisable to work with a fully defined sketch and to be careful to conserve the sketch relations. Show the plane on the side with a dotted line, personally vertical. It's possible to create planes directly in 3D sketches. The planes work like regular planes initially, but they have planes using sketches enables planar sketches, and even the arc and circles in 3D sketches. Sketches can be created on these planes. Sketch will move with the plane, but the plane will also move with the sketch. Planes in 3D sketches can be confusing if you expect them to work like 2D sketches in a plane. Figure 621 shows the property manager interface creating 3D planes. So it shows you how to create the sketch plane. 3D planes property manager. Select reference plane sketch that needs edges, face, or vertices. Define sketch plane. Select the constraint relations. First reference, second reference, third reference. The confusing part of this is, say you create a vertical line on a plane in 3D sketch. You can then angle the line with the plane when it will rotate with it. There's no way to rotate the plane on its own unless you have some sketch geometry on the plane and cause that to rotate. Show the sketch plane on the rotate on the sketch plane on the sketch plane 3D. To open the sketch plane on 3D sketch, double click on the sketch. Use the 3D sketch on tool plane tool. Plane is activated with a display display when it displays a grid. You can double click empty space for the rectangular. Return to rectangular 3D sketch mode. The main thing you can give up with the demanding 3D sketch plane is simplification of certain sketches and even stuff with the arcs and relations. Advantages using plane 3D sketches of the band of the parent and child of the concept that you would otherwise embrace the use of series of 2D sketches and 2D planes. In my opinion, 3D sketches are incredibly useful. However, the 3D planes concept is not very well developed. I'm not ready to say dangerous, but certainly not fully thought out. Using planar path segments. Some of the path segments are allowed with 3D sketch can only be used if they are sketched on a plane. These include circles and arcs and can be included in splines, but although splines are not required to be on plane, I've even mentioned the sketch 3D plane created with a 3D sketch. You can simply double-click the plane. To sketch the standard plane with a reference geometry plane, you can double-click the plane or control-click the border of the plane sketch and the icon activate. And the space handle moves indicating the new created sketch entities will lie in the selected plane. Defining dimension. Dimension of the 2D sketches can represent distances between 2 points. They can represent horizontal, vertical distances between objects. 3D sketch dimensions between points are always straight line distances. If you want the dimension, the horizontal, vertical, you should create the dimension between the plane and a point. The dimension is always measured normal to the plane. Between the line and a point, the dimension is always measured perpendicular to the line. For this view, the reference sketch geometry is often used freely, and 3D sketch is part of some supporting dimension. Alright, using 3D sketch summary, three-dimensional sketches are extremely powerful. The different application of the problem is they are limited to some of the capabilities. They do not work exactly like 2D sketches. They will benefit from knowing how to use 3D sketch in the same point, even if it's not every day. Alright, tutorial editing and copy. Tutorial guides through some of the common sketch relation and editing scenarios using some of the copy to move delete tools. Following these steps, I learned from the editing, copying, sketching. Open the part named Chapter 6 Tutorial 1, solid part with the download materials. Chapter 6 of the part. Several arrow flags on the sketch. In this case, there are many errors and the best roll the part back through the errors by one. Right click the name of the file type of the feature manager, click on the tree display option, select the show flat tree, control T. This function allows you to show the features a straight history list without features consuming sketches. Draw a rollback bar from just of the last fillet feature just after sketch 3, figure 622, show before, after views of the roll for the rollback. We're going to the rollback part, extruded 3. We've picked extruded 3. We went to tree display. We've now also went to sketch 3 and back to the chapters through the rollback bar, sketch 3, and hit sketch 3, but then right click with the white space for the delete display with the delete relation, note for the relation conflict, but only one unsolvable. The equal radius relation for the disappear with the mistake between the two arcs cannot be equal to delete with the equal radius relation. Select with the relation with the red click, then click with the delete button in the property manager as you go. And also press on the delete key on the keyboard. The sketch is still not repaired. Click on the green check mark icon, click with the display delete relations property manager. 7 on the right, click with the graphics window, select the sketch expert toward the bottom, then click diagnose. Using double arrows result panel, toggle through the available solutions except the remove sketch relation, leave the sketch under define. Except the one solution that removed the dimension that's shown in figure 623, the sketch no longer shows the errors in the graphic windows, but it still does in the feature manager. Figure 9, close the sketch. Note for the error flag just does not disappear until the sketch has been repaired and closed. Using the rollback bar, roll forward to extrude 2 and sketch 2. Figure 622, show the tooltip message appear with the play for the cursor over the stretch with the air with this message tools after you the dangling relation that lost one of the etnies. 11. Edit the sketch for the end. Figure 625. Show the sketch relation for the icon again, but the errors will easier be identified when using display and delete relation tools in relation to display and delete relation. First two coincident relations appear to be dangling. Clicking relation of the relations of panel with the display and deleting relations. The property manager show the one point was coincident to a line and the other point was coincident to a point. Using Sketch Expert, message, diagnose, manual repair, result, showing solution, most information options. So Sketch Expert will help you through your errors. 624, our tooltip provides description and error. They can show the error warning sign in Sketch 2, and then it tells the detailed path of it. Fix dangling, show the coincidence will be colored, they will be colored in the sketch. Drag this point, 2 points dangling, drag this point, relation. Click the name of the dangling etny with the panel with the property manager. Click the vertex in 625, the replace for the box to the bottom. When you have fixed the error of the edge of the sketch, confirm the flag is no longer in sketch 2. There's an easier way to repair dangling relation with a click drawing sketch point at once, and we'll turn red. Next, drag the red handle onto the etny which we want to reattach the relation. Exit the sketch, drag the rollback bar just before the cut extrude 1, expand keyboard feature. This should be already flattened with a flat tree view. Does not apply consistently to all types of features, which is a bug. Edit 3D sketch 1, sketches over defined. Tip, because selecting and deselecting the display with the sketch relation with the graphic window is in task that will be performed many times. The good opportunity to set up a hotkey for this function. As a reminder, set up the hotkey tools. Tools customize keyboard and search box type of the relation short column for this command. Selecting a hotkey to use. Double-clicking any relation icon display delete relation property manager will appear. Notice that one of the sketch relation, fixed relation, delete the fixed relation, edit the sketch. 6, right-click anywhere the feature manager, select the roll to 10. 17, click control, cut, extrude 1 feature manager so you can see the graphics window and click on the plane space to deselect the feature. Ensure instant 3D, disable the click and drag any face of the cut feature drop onto another flat surface. The control drag function, copy the feature sketch for the external dimension relation before detach. Alright, click dangling, respond with a prompt. This means you have to reattach some of the dangling dimension, then rather than recreate them, edit newly created sketch which now has error on it, which now has an error on it. 220 dimension 1 to external edges now have the olive dangling color, which select the dimension red handle will appear. Drag the red handle, attach it to the model edge. Do this for the bottom of the dimension. Do this for both dimensions. The dimension will update the reflect with their new locations. Edit the sketch verify the error flag has disappeared. 21, select sketch 5. Control select flat face for the model with other than one of the sketch 5 is on. In this menu, choose Insert Derived Sketch. You now on the sketch editing for the derived sketch. Tip: the sketch is blue. You should be able to resize it right. No, it doesn't work way of the derived sketch. Derived sketch are driven by parent sketches. You can test the dragging of a large circle, reposition the entire sketch for the unit. 22. The dimension center a large circle with the two perpendicular edges of the model. Move the sketch over the solid geometry as necessary. Drag the small circle that observe the swivel around with a large circle, creating the angle of the dimension between the construction line between the circle centers. One of the model edges. Notice the sketch is now fully defined. Exit the sketch and look at the name of the derived sketch with the feature manager, and then term derived appears after the name of the sketch appears with a fully defined. Right click on the sketch on underiveded sketch. Notice the sketch is now undefined. Underderived, the command removes associated links between the two sketches and close the file. Tutorial: controlling pictures, text, and color and styles. The tutorial gives you through some of the miscellaneous functions of Sketch. Also shows you what to use and how to use them, and follow the steps to learn how to control these items. Open a new part, use the template, which is the inch you use, and open the sketch for the front plane. Drawing a construction line starting with the origin at 12 inches down with a negative Y away from the origin. Insert sketch picture in the sketch. Use sketch picture 1 TIF from the downloaded material chapter 6 using sketch tool sketch picture. Resize, reposition the image endpoint with the construction line near the center of the hole with the endpoints. If they move the image, you double clicking with the first and then dragging it. To resize with the drag of the corners, use the scale tool with the sketch picture of the property manager. If you prefer, in transparency panel with the sketch picture property manager, select our user defined option, selecting the eyedropper tool with a click of the white background with the image. Make sure the color field next to the eyedropper tool changes it to white. Slide with the transparency matching tool and sliders all the way to the right and type the 1 for the number of boxes. Close the sketch, rename the sketch image front view. Insert the sketch picture 2 TIF. Also over the website, download sketch on the right plane. Resize it, fit the first image. Turn symmetrically about the origin. Also set the transparency setting the first image. Open the next sketch. Also front plane, draw 2 circles to match the features on the ends. Extrude using the midpoint extrusion to match image of the other direction, about 2.5 inches shown in figure 626. Now we have looks like a connection rod using the sketch. 6.9, open another new sketch front plane, drawing the new tangent for the web in the middle of the part. Automatic relations, drawing the line of the tangent. 2 cylinder. It's easier than using front view part. Close the sketch to make the solid extrusion. Extrude with the part of 1/2 inch mid plane. Open a new sketch of face larger flat web created with the previous step. The offset of the arc edge of the larger circle boss of 2/10 of an inch. Change the arc of the construction drag endpoints approximately the position shown in figure 627. The endpoints of the arc will be blue after you drag them, giving them horizontal relation with the dimensions of them. To create the create 210 dimension as shown, select the arc and circle the dimension cursor pressing downward shift key. Or figure 627, creating an offset arc. Choosing file properties, make sure the custom tab of the active with the type of the sketch text on the first open property name of the column of the measure. Make sure the type of the text of the value field with the type of Solidworks. Click OK when you're finished. Choose Tool, Sketch Edit, and use text, and initiate with the creating with the sketch text. Select with the construction, go to the curves window. Below with the text window, click on the O and link to property. Select sketch text from the property manager and name drop down list. Click OK. Select fully justify option. Click on the green marker to accept it. Deselect use document font option. Click on the font button. Then use the units in the 1/2 inch for the click of the bold button to make the text thicker. Click OK to exit the dialog box. Click with the green check mark icon to exit the sketch text. Then exit the sketch. Extrude the text depth of 5/100 of an inch with a 3 degrees over the draft of the part of the point, resulting 628. 628 is creating the extruded text. Performance sketch text for real performance killer. The more text you use, the longer it takes to extrude. Drafting extrusion adds time as required. So look at the flat face other side of the part when you just extrude the text and open a sketch. Select the face for the offset button to make the sketch and leave the offset to the inside of 5/10 of an half an inch. Remember that you may have the reverse offset to get into the work properly. Open in line format. Right click any of the toolbar offered of the command manager. Select the line format. Select all the sketch line chain with the color. Use the line color tool chain with the line thickness, line style with appropriate tools. Sketch that should look like something this in 629. When using the click in the color display mode tool, colors will return the regular sketch colors. When you exit the sketch, line weight and style will also return to normal. Tutorial using metadata. Integrate with the metadata in the accompanied modeling process. Solidworks model of the resources much more with the geometrical data. The tutorial will discover the hidden treasure extra information stored in metadata in this model. Open the part with the download material, chapter 6 of the dials covered slide part with the check with the custom property file with the chosen file properties. Notice the thickness and the properties of the properties of the particular and the custom part with the material and type of text and value ABS. The custom property interface listed located in file properties. Check for the components in this part. Note that the comments folder exists near the top of the feature manager. Inside the list of features of which I have written the comments. Add the comment with a brief clicking on the variable fillet 3 feature of selecting comment. Fly out arrow, clicking on the add comment option, click the date and timestamp button, add comment that includes the word blend. Shift the tag with the list bar, click the small yellow tag lower right corner of the taskbar, click any of the feature link, double click the tags in the interface box. Add the tag, selecting cut extrude feature for the adding the tag piler, right click any of the item feature menu, select the go to from the option, type 30 seconds in the box and click the find the next button. Feature manager should highlight a feature near the bottom of the tree named Fillet 37. Click Fillet 37 on the feature menu with the select the zoom to selection tool, zoom to the selection magnifying glass with the equal sign of the display, zoom in the pans to fillet one end of the part, right click with the face of the Fillet 37 the model with the go to feature in which select features, the manager with the necessary scroll with the show the Fillet 37 sequence of the tool, show with the important interdependency, the feature name, the actual geometry. 12. Type the word thickness in the filter top of the feature manager. Figure 630. Show the result. Notice how quickly the result appears. Notice all of the metadata and the item cause the feature to show the list and can be shown on the tooltip hovering the mouse over the feature. Click the X click the X at the red end of the filter to restore feature manager of the original state. Type of the word piler. Instead, no filter thermo form. Alright, tutorial sketch filter. Sketches can be used with the geometric calculators. Parametric can be easily powerful when you define relationship between geometry. In this tutorial, you will sketch with the calculated complex size location relationship between rings of the tiled stacking toy. One part, new part, document with the inch units, drawing a triangle around top with a base centered on the origin shown with the figure 31. Not use the dimension sketch relation for the construction geometry to enable the change of this symmetrically. Draw 3 circles right and to the right of the pyramid. Use the bottom circle to show the tangent of the bottom of the angle side of the pyramid. Middle top circle should be tangent, lower circle the angle side of the pyramid, respectively. Figure 632 show that the process partially completed. Figure 631, building a triangle with a round top without dimensions and stacking rings. Using sketch stacking rings. Put a diameter dimension each of the circle over the property dimension for each of the dimension. Rename the dimension ring 1 diameter, sketch 1, ring 2 diameter, and so on. This shown in figure 631. Place dimension center bottom circle of the construction line and play with the dimension far side of the construction of the circle to create with the part of the dimension. Diameter dimension, play with the dimension with middle circle and same with the bottom circle at the time with the new dimension, 75% of the first diameter. Complete the sketch and show in figure 634, all the dimension sketch relations. 633, show the dimensions of values, leaders, and other style, trail entry, precision, primary methods. And 634 shows finished sketch. And then main changes to the sketch. Let's see what the changes allow, but does not. Double clicking the dimension of the either the wheel over the middle over the modifying dialog box. Apply with the change smoothly, trying to change each of the dimension. Bottom line, edit sketch relation. Effectively use the sketch relation fundamental skill that you need to have successful in Solidworks. You'll be using constantly to make sure your models have predictability to change, master it. Open one of the sample parts of the chapter, show flat tree, edit with each sketch, make sure that you understand what each sketch relation is doing. Reverse engineering simple part with the digital image to take a picture of at least two sides of the simple object. You can use the sample extrude features typing, trying to make the photos look like drawing views. You can image of the sketch picture, align the edges of the photo with the X and Y and sketch and the sketch over them. Master, insert photos and sketches model with the image and reference. Create a wireframe representation of a chair with 3D sketch, and frequently use the main type of the design. Getting some practice drawing a line 3D space will help you gain command of these tools. Master it. Start by creating center lines and square members with a simple wooden chair. Chapter 7, Modeling with Primary Features.